Thank you. Very kind of you. I had no idea what Kyriakos was going to talk about earlier, and it actually fits in very neatly. Strangely, I'm a mayor that's volunteering, or a potential mayor who's volunteering to be monitored in this way. But I wanted to introduce you or talk to you about something that some of you may recognize, which is the London Oyster card. And it's become, for many Londoners, a symbol of being London, almost like a London card itself. And there's actually an amusing story during the conflict in the Middle East. Someone who was being sort of attacked by the British Army used their Oyster card to prove they were safe. they were British and they were a Londoner, and not to fire at them. They were almost like a passport. And to many Londoners, it means the same thing. It's become a symbol of being a Londoner. It was bespoke technology. It was created about 12 years ago, and it's now one of the largest payment cards in the world. Something like 100 times larger than its nearest rival. And it was created for us by TfL, Transport for London. And Transport for London are innovators in other ways. More recently, they were one of the first organizations or big organizations in London to open up all their knowledge to anyone who wanted it, so to join the sharing economy. And this has allowed us to create apps like Citymart and sorts of taxi apps and all sorts of other things, using technology actually that comes from cards like this, and that now makes me planning my journey to somewhere else in London very fast indeed, just on an app. And also, that's become a big export for us. We're a great big tech hub now. London has become known as one of the top 3 tech hubs in the world, next to California, sort of Silicon Valley and New York. Just a brief thing, it's quite interesting how it works. Many people think when you have one of these cards, it will have a serial number and you'll swipe it and it'll recognize who you are, and a computer will tell you how much money you've got to spend. Where in fact, this was one of the first technologies that's got a chip inside, which is a minute computer and a wire that goes around. And when you touch the reader, it powers your chip and your computer comes alive. It tells the machine how much money you've got. It deducts the money and then replaces your account, your balance on the card. Just a bit of useless information, but I thought that was fascinating. I had no idea it was so complex that I was carrying around a computer. But currently we use it to buy trips, mainly on tube and buses. And of course, I would like this card to do an awful lot more. My intention is to partner with someone like MasterCard and Visa and allow you to use it everywhere. On all kinds of journeys, egalitarianizing, maybe even the taxis are under a lot of pressure from Uber at the moment, but also buy your paper and get your breakfast and things like that. But I think it could also be used to make better citizens and deliver a sense of citizenship to London, which is needed. But more to the point, it could also be used to drive democracy in the way you were describing earlier. Firstly, just as far as a card, it's a prepay, which means there's no barriers to entry, which is an egalitarian thing, is also very important because you get people, immigrants, who can't open bank accounts, or young people. It's their first piece of financial services equipment. It falls outside of money laundering regulations. But this means anyone can have one. You don't need proof of address or anything like that. Oyster currently costs TfL, Transport for London, £185 million a year, but they'd like to phase it out, to be honest, and everyone to go on, use their contactless payment cards, which they're now geared up to do, but of course that excludes many people. But as a businessman, and then my background is as an entrepreneur, I can see that £185 million for effectively the largest prepay in the world seems a very, very cheap thing indeed. And as a businessman, I can also see how if you were to partner with the right people and to use it in the correct way, this could become profit-making on an extraordinary level, or in the public sector, we have to use surplus-making. And I also can see how this could be used to benefit Londoners. There are 9.5 million of these at the moment, 100 million issued since launch. And this gives a mayor a potentially massive mandate, a spending mandate on behalf of Londoners. With it, I could probably go to utility companies and get the best deal for Londoners. I could probably negotiate on behalf of all Londoners who operate through this system far lower gas and electricity bills. Theatres, restaurants, food, all sorts of places would be queuing up to be the providers of preference to Londoners offering discounts. But also, I like the idea, and it comes back to, I like the idea that it could be used to create better citizens. I am a free man of London, and it's an honour given to me as a citizen. It's a bit like when you're made a citizen of Rome for your good works, and that allows me the privilege of driving my geese over London Bridge. But in today's age, there are very few ways of allowing people to feel part of a community or part of London. And I'd like to see ways in which I could use a card like this to start rewarding people for good behaviour. Now, I haven't dug too deeply in how, because you can't really pay people for getting involved in charities or reward them too tangibly, but even just a different colour card, you might be able to start finding ways of making people feel as if they are part of a community or part of London in a different way, so this card could start taking on a life of its own. As you've said, it could be used as a tool for democracy. You can start using it, because the reality is it's no longer a card, it's an app. You know, it's in tangible form, it's a card, but the reality is it's gathering lots of data, and it's actually going to probably be on your phone, and it's no longer a card. This is a really important piece of technology which could be used to vote and feed back information to the mayor, but also allow them to get involved in local planning issues, because although I want to identify as a Londoner, I'm also very interested in localization. I live in Bloomsbury, for example, in London, which is like a village. There are hundreds and hundreds of villages in London. They all have very distinct look to them. And when I go home, I want to be a Bloomsbury resident. I want my streets to look a certain way. I want my design of my buildings or the houses to look a certain way. I want to belong somewhere, and I want that to mean something. And something like this will start allowing a sort of a neighbourhood planning approach that would take it away from people like me, the mayor, and allow a lot more local input. The final thing that I think you can do with some form of app, some sort of reward system, is that you can start encouraging people to behave in a greener way. So if you start to use what's called the Boris bikes, which are the cycle hire systems, or the electric vehicles that are operated through the car club, you can start getting rewards on your card and maybe get free journeys to start tailoring people's expectations and the way they behave in a way that benefits society more widely. So anyway, I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited by the technology, and at the moment London is only having a conversation about housing and whether there are too many super rich people. And I think there's a real opportunity for not just my city, but all cities around the world to actually look at what our cities need to look like and the way we need to deal with people's personal expectations and the way they live in the future. So it's very exciting. Thank you very much. No red card. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very exciting. So we've looked at sort of several cities in Greece. We've looked at the City of London with all its neighbourhoods. And now I'd like to introduce Lucy Ratcliffe, who works for Citymart in Barcelona. Citymart, well, if you Google Lucy, you find out she's the best-selling author of The Rough Guide to the Italian Lakes, I think. So, but she works at Citymart, and Citymart you say you partner with cities to improve the day-to-day lives of citizens, and that you build internal innovation competencies in cities and find and share solutions of methodologies to solve urban challenges facing municipalities around the world. That's what you say you do. So what we'd like to know is how.
Okay.